Now, one of the candidates is in jail tonight, unable to vote. Incumbent Alderwoman lady-garth was arrested Sunday to serve a 5-day sentence for disturbing the peace, a charge she was convicted on in 2022. She was also served with 2 warrants for simple assault and disturbance of an election. The election charge required an arraignment before a judge, but on the way to that arraignment, she picked up new charges. Monroe County Sheriff Kevin Crook released a nearly 3-minute video showing the events that led up to those charges. As Shawanda Jones explains, it also led to her being taken to the emergency room.
WCBI has received numerous phone calls and emails similar to the one you see on your screen right now, alleging that Aberdeen Alderwoman lady-garth was assaulted by deputies here at the Monroe County Detention Center. Now, I spoke with Monroe County Sheriff Kevin Crook, and he says that's simply not the case, referring to the claims as a false narrative.
Inmate Garth initially refused to be handcuffed at her cell and walked toward the booking office before being encountered by a shift sergeant who explained to her that it was protocol she'd be handcuffed for the meeting. Inmate Garth stated she was not going to be handcuffed. The sergeant was patient with inmate Garth and was able to talk to her and complying. She got her to comply with the first restraint going on, and then inmate Garth verbally refused to have the second restraint placed on her left hand. Again, you'll see the sergeant continuing to be patient with Ms. Garth, attempting to gain her compliance and explaining that she could not go into that meeting with that judge, especially with one handcuff on, but without being restrained. At that time, inmate Garth attempted to pull away from the sergeant and enter the booking room. The sergeant stopped her from entering, and inmate Garth began to forcibly resist the sergeant's efforts to restrain her, knocking the sergeant's taser to the ground in the process. Inmate Garth then grabbed hold of the door facing, refused to let go as the sergeant attempted to bring her restrained hand behind her for cuffing. Inmate Garth then let go of the door facing and began to use both hands to fight off the sergeant's attempts to restrain her. Another corrections officer responded and assisted the sergeant in placing inmate Garth on the ground for handcuffing. Judge Davis, who was a former deputy sheriff, exited the booking room and had to verbally and physically assist in getting inmate Garth to comply with our corrections officer.
Lady-garth remains behind bars, convicted last December for disturbing the peace and recently charged with disrupting an election. As the latest charges head to the grand jury, we will keep you updated, telling your story in Monroe County. Shawanda Jones, WCBI News.
And Garth was also charged with disorderly conduct and failure to comply with a law enforcement officer. She's expected to go before a judge for this additional charge within 24 hours.